Okay, so here's how to play Twitch in Season 14. Twitch will always be a strong solo queue champion, and this season is not an exception. Solo queue is all about punishing opposing mistakes. You want to make the enemy greedy so they overextend and you can take advantage of them, which gets harder the higher you climb, aka the better your opponents are. But when your champion has invisibility in their kit, this is substantially easier. This is a highly valuable asset Twitch has. The stealth by itself will create loads of opportunities for you, while also being a strong defensive escape tool should the enemy jungler try to gank you with the new jungle paths. So Twitch just does what he does best, like every year, bullying enemies in stealth while also carrying late game teamfights with his high scaling AoE auto attacks. The item changes were also great for Twitch, even though he doesn't use the broken lethality items. However, Twitch is a premier user of the new ADC item Terminus, while also benefiting from the changes to on-hit items in general. Adding further to Twitch's qualities as a solo queue champion, you can also still play him with AP items, allowing you to fix your team composition should all your allies just pick AD champions for some reason. Trust me, this is a big plus, because a full AD team always loses in the late game, and if you want to climb, you would have to dodge such a lobby under normal circumstances. So having that extra option on Twitch definitely goes a long way if you care about actually winning your games, which I assume you do. And therefore I will show you Twitch's best rune and item setups, both for the AD and for the AP build should you need it. But truth be told, AD Twitch is stronger, so only play AP if you have to. After we get the theory out of the way, I will also take you into an in-game analysis, of course, showing you exactly what Twitch's game plan looks like in practice. But speaking of practice, League of Legends is a skill, and practicing efficiently is crucial if you want to improve and climb. Most people do that by trial and error, and at a certain point they have no clue what they are doing wrong anymore, so they end up hard stuck and falsely attributing their stagnating elo on bad luck and bad teammates. But if this is you, the harsh truth is that League is still a game of skill, and that you, in fact, could be winning a lot of the games you're currently losing. This is why I recommend not practicing League with trial and error, but instead getting a qualified teacher who can tell you exactly what you need to do. For this reason, I am partnering with a League of Legends coaching company Solo Queue Solution, who are the sponsor of this video. They have high elo challenger coaches for all 5 roles, so no matter your playstyle, they will be able to help you to take your gameplay to the next level. Of course, this is not a magic pill. You still need to put in the work yourself so the coaching can actually make you a better player. Imagine taking weekly piano lessons, for example, but not playing the piano at all in your free time. You would also not become a great pianist. However, if you are playing solo queue for at least 15 hours per week, the coaching program from Solo Queue Solution is the ideal tool for you. You will see rapid improvements as your challenger coach works with you in hand-tailored one-on-one lessons, and if you take the full course, they also guarantee that you reach Diamond. Yes, they can guarantee that because League is a skill, and any skill can be taught. Anyway, if you're interested, you can book your first session in the description and also find more information there. Okay, but let's talk about Twitch's rune page. You have lots of room for customization on this champion, but a very solid AD Twitch rune page is Lethal Tempo, Presence of Mind, Legend Alacrity, and Coup de Grace, with Taste of Blood and Treasure Hunter secondary. So for a keystone choice on AD Twitch, you already have options. Yes, I said Lethal Tempo here, but Press the Attack is a noteworthy alternative. As a quick rule of thumb, Lethal Tempo is much stronger in the late game, whereas Press the Attack is much stronger during the early game, and the early game is, despite Twitch being a late game hypercarry, surprisingly strong on this champion because you get good wave clear and good dueling power. Twitch can dictate the pace of the lane with ease, as you will see during the analysis, and Press the Attack further adds to that. Again, you can choose your keystone based on personal preference, but if you want a kind of system behind it, you can pick Lethal Tempo when your support is a late game scaling champion, an enchanter like Janna or Lulu, and Press the Attack when your support is an early game all-in champion like Pyke or Alistar. I personally always play Twitch with Press the Attack because I like the rune so much, but again, it's totally up to you. Now the second slot, Presence of Mind, is quite valuable because it allows you to keep going with your Q resets during fights. Again, your Q resets whenever you get a takedown, and Presence of Mind helps you actually pay for the Q reset, but Triumph is also an alternative if you're confident in your mana management. Triumph also follows the same logic, but instead of refreshing your mana, it refreshes your health, which also allows you to keep going, but since your first item is a lifesteal item, you're not that dependent on the healing, really. Presence of Mind is more consistent overall, I would personally say, because there's also the interaction with your poison ticking refreshing Presence of Mind's effect, but Triumph is totally viable if you are confident in managing your mana without Presence of Mind. Legend Alacrity though is non-negotiable. Twitch needs attack speed badly. You need to get to 6 stacks in poison in the early game, you also need attack speed to stack lethal tempo or to trigger press the attack, and Legend Alacrity just provides this stat raw, upfront, 18% at max stacks and also 3% already at 0 stacks, making it the best legend rune in that row. The only reason a marksman ever takes the heavily nerfed Legend Bloodline is if they can't afford to pick lifesteal in their build, but Twitch will get a lifesteal item as you will see. Now Coup de Grace in the last slot is the most consistent overall if you don't have any special synergies with Last Stand or with Cutdown, which Twitch does not. Cutdown is a late game scaling rune and Twitch is already very strong in the late game, so he doesn't really need that, while Coup de Grace on the other hand allows you to bully the enemy more in lane. Now the secondary choices are quite interesting. Taste of Blood, also a phenomenal rune on Twitch because it's so easy to trigger with your poison, especially with your W, makes for a very safe and consistent lane phase, gives you a lot of agency at that stage of the game, but an alternative would be Sudden Impact. Sudden Impact over Taste of Blood is less safety, but the lethality changes actually also help this rune. Twitch can trigger Sudden Impact easily while exiting his stealth of course, which makes for great assassinations and good damage overall, but again Taste of Blood is very valuable during the lane phase, makes it easier for you. I personally would prefer Taste of Blood. Treasure Hunter is another great AD carry rune because it gives you your items faster, and AD carries are all about items, but Twitch also has a very strong ultimate, so Ultimate Hunter is something some people take, and even Relentless Hunter is an option on Twitch. If you want to lean more into Twitch's assassination playstyle, Relentless Hunter helps you get around the map faster and stealth, get to your target and get going, but Treasure Hunter should be the most consistent overall. And now before we move into the item section, let's quickly also go over the rune page for the AP Twitch build because it is a little bit different. For AP Twitch, you go Hail of Blades, Taste of Blood, Eyeball Collection and Relentless Hunter with Presence of Mind and Legend Alacrity secondary. AP Twitch is definitely an early game focused assassin and Hail of Blades helps with that a lot. On AP Twitch, you really want to get as many poison stacks as possible as fast as you can, so Hail of Blades with the 3 auto attacks up front in combination with the W poison stacks will get you to 6 stacks in no time, allowing you to get the full damage from E. E has great AP scalings and your passive poison also has great AP scalings, so this rune page is really designed to maximize the poison stacks you can get. Taste of Blood, same logic as before, phenomenal rune on Twitch, and here Sudden Impact doesn't really make sense because a lot of your damage is true damage, which is not amplified by armor penetration or magic penetration. Eyeball Collection just gives you more AP, and the more AP you get the better. It's also a snowballing rune, so a no-brainer there. Now AP Twitch definitely a good user of the aforementioned Relentless Hunter, but on AP Twitch I would also personally prefer Treasure Hunter still, because again items are everything and I really like the rune. Presence of Mind, same logic as before since you just get more mana, and on AP Twitch that's even more important because a lot of your damage comes from your E, so you have to be able to cast that every time. And as you can already tell, Legend Alacrity also phenomenal, the upfront value in attack speed and attack speed being the most important stat to stack your poison, no brainer. And moving into the item section, let's get the AP Twitch build out of the way real quick. The full build I recommend is Nash's Tooth first, Ionian Boots of Lucidity next, then Shadow Flame, then Death Cap, then Runan's Hurricane, and last item Infinity Edge. This is a very interesting build that became only possible in the new season. Now Nash's Tooth and Ionian Boots are nothing new on AP Twitch. You need your attack speed and you need your ability power. Nash's Tooth provides everything, also gives you more value on your auto attacks with its on-hit damage, so again, nothing changed there. But the next items, Shadow Flame and Death Cap, is where it gets interesting. Should you have the luxury of getting the money for needlessly large rods every time, then you can even go Death Cap as the next item and Shadow Flame later, but this is the more likely order because sometimes you just have to buy tombs. However, the reworked Shadow Flame is just perfect on Twitch. The magic penetration is not as valuable, but it allows your passive and your E to crit. The execute damage is insanely high with this one, and it also works with the Infinity Edge crit modifier, which is why the build continues as it does. Runan's Hurricane sets you up for Infinity Edge because that also makes the auto attack crit on Infinity Edge more valuable, and it also allows you to spread poison to multiple targets in late game teamfights. But in general, AP Twitch falls off in the late game. This is the best attempt of mitigating that. But yeah, when you play AP Twitch, try to finish as fast as possible, because even this build will still fall off. And for the most part, you should go for the AD build, which goes as follows. Your core build on AD Twitch, again with lethal tempo or press the attack, is always Doran's Blade first, of course, then Berserker's Greaves, Blade of the Ruined King, and Runan's Hurricane. Rushing attack speed is very valuable on Twitch, as I've said, because you need to stack your poison, you need to trigger press the attack, or you need to stack lethal tempo. In addition to providing attack speed though, Blade of the Ruined King also provides lifesteal, which you don't have in your runes as you saw, and the Blade of the Ruined King rework is phenomenal on Twitch because of his ultimate. Twitch's ultimate gives you a lot of range and makes your bullets hit AoE, but the downside is your bullets are now dodgeable, the enemy can run out of them. However, Blade of the Ruined King allowing you to slow them on your first auto attack means they can no longer dodge the bullets realistically unless they flash a single auto attack or something. So Blade of the Ruined King just makes your ultimate way more consistent and way more dangerous. Runan's Hurricane allows you to spread poison to multiple targets, as I've already said, also applies Blade of the Ruined King to multiple enemies, so it's the perfect teamfighting item. With this core you are fully live and you can teamfight whenever you need to. Now for the late game you have multiple options, depends a little bit on your playstyle and also on your preferences, but the options you have are Terminus, Rageblade, Wit's End, and Experimental Hexblade, or you can even go more towards crit with Lord Doms and Infinity Edge, or even tanky with Jackshaw the Protean and Titanic Hydra. Terminus allows you to go a little bit more aggressive with a stacking armor and magic resist, while also allowing you to deal with tanks consistently due to the stacking armor penetration and magic penetration. The perfect on-hit item for the mid and late game, and Twitch is a perfect user. Rageblade is the rawest damage item you can get, amplifying everything you want to do. Great item overall, especially on lethal tempo builds. Wit's End, another semi-defensive item, providing valuable tenacity and stopping enemy mages from one-shotting you. Experimental Hexblade also quite interesting. Once more, a lot of Twitch's power budget is his ultimate, allowing you to teamfight like no one else, and Experimental Hexblade makes that more consistent. Lord Doms and Infinity Edge are the most aggressive continuation for the press the attack enjoyers, but I personally even prefer Jackshaw and Titanic Hydra. A full build I like to go is Berserker's Grease, Blade of the Ruined King, Hurricane as I've said, then Terminus, then Jackshaw, then Titanic. This makes it so hard to take you down in the late game because not only are you stacking your resistances with Terminus, but Jackshaw also has synergies with your passive and in longer fights in general. It's very easy to stay in combat, so unlocking the extra resistances is just a piece of cake. In addition to that, the health on Jackshaw the Protean sets you up for Titanic Hydra. Titanic Hydra is more like a bruiser item in general, but Twitch hits multiple enemies at once with every auto attack, not only due to the Runan's Hurricane but also because of his ultimate, so the Titanic Hydra on hit effect is just crazy because it's another AoE component. Anyway, as you can see, you can really mix and match and customize Twitch however you like to suit your playstyle, and it will be effective either way. And equipped with that knowledge, we will now go into the analysis. So despite being a late game hypercarry, Twitch actually still has an extremely potent laning phase. Especially with Press the Attack, which this Twitch here has, the enemy must respect your damage potential at all times, especially with an all-in support. You definitely can, and should, make them feel your presence, as illustrated by this interaction here. Notice that Twitch is able to stand his ground despite starting the fight level 1 versus level 2. In most cases this would be a mortal sin, but Twitch's early game with Press the Attack really just is that strong. But this is also a testament to how strong stealth is in solo queue. It is very easy for even high elo opponents to make a mistake, to mess up and to get caught ultimately. Also top tier flash, needless to say. Of course we get all this madness due to the Pyke Twitch dynamic. When you play with a more passive support, or even when you're simply paired up with a bad player, you can also play a very quiet lane phase on Twitch and lean into his qualities as a late game hypercarry. You scale with items rather well after all. But the mere fact that Twitch has the options to cause so much mayhem in the bot lane is very valuable in the chaotic Season 14 environment. If you play your cards right, you can create promising opportunities for your team that way. For the most part, however, your priority will be acquiring farm as to not set yourself up for failure during the mid-game. Luckily though, Twitch's wave clear with W and E is above average, allowing you to control the pace of the lane quite consistently. This flexibility of your aggressive and passive playstyles is really your biggest asset. Many marksmen moan when their supports are roaming as they are not designed for a 1v1 lane. But Twitch can switch gears in an instant. Seeing on the minimap that there is zero risk of getting ganked, you can force your opponent into very ugly situations with your stealth. The combination of strong wave clear, decent safety, and amazing dueling power makes for a very nasty early game. And while it is true that Twitch is immobile, your stealth alone already makes it almost impossible for the enemy to pressure you, even when you are trapped in a 2v1. The enemy can try to punish you when stealth is on cooldown or just wore off naturally, but as long as you always save your summoner spells for these emergencies, you can turn the situation around in a blink of an eye and reverse all in with your powerful ultimates. Twitch's level 6 power spike is one of the strongest in all of bot lane. Not only is the bonus AD on the spell absurd when you're already stacking attack speed, but the fact you can now hit both opponents at once is the final nail in the coffin. And the stealth reset upon takedown is really the cherry on top. Normally trading lanes are a premium target for ganks, but by the time the opposing backup arrives, you have your most important defensive tool back and can freely walk out of danger. Okay, so when you manage to play a clean lane phase, either farming minions or champions, you should be able to consistently enter the mid-game with Blade of the Ruined King and Berserker's Greaves. These items are really all you need to carry mid-game skirmishes, and by staying close to the center of the map, you will also be in the best position to join these fights when they eventually happen. But as a matter of fact, you will also be an easy target yourself in this position, and while avoiding damage should be your priority, this won't always be possible. You still need to farm and your Q might be on cooldown. But while fighting on low HP is not ideal, Twitch still has that massive range on his ultimate. You can deal great damage while staying far in the back if you have to. Just look at that positioning. Twitch is really never in danger of getting hit himself, which is very important when you are fighting at that low HP. And after applying enough lifesteal, you can just clean up the fight front to back with your stealth resets. Naturally, when you don't mess up, taking a lot of prior damage, this will be even better. With your stealth, you can join in on your teammates' plays while also making it easy for the enemy to mess up and assess the situation incorrectly. Stealth mechanics are extremely powerful in solo queue for this very reason. Okay, so far so good, but is all of this enough to carry 1v9? I mean, look at the game. Twitch's team already lost an inhibitor to a fed solo laner. Many ADC players complain about the win lane lose game phenomenon. They feel they are doing everything they can, but their team just loses the game for them. And this also seems to be the case here. Blue team are just giving away every objective. However, Twitch is still a late game hypercarry. He easily outscales all the lane bullies, who can't even bully him that hard to begin with. Your single target DPS in the late game is very consistent, but of course, so is your AoE damage. The enemy will still prioritize you whenever they can, but out-damaging a late game Twitch with Runan's Hurricane is quite the task. Admittedly, this was rather close, because the Twitch player here did not buy any of the defensive items, but in exchange, Twitch of course also deals his damage faster. Again, a matter of personal preference, I'd say. However, I cannot deny that it is pretty hard to catch back up when playing Twitch once you fall behind. Therefore, playing a clean early game and using Twitch's tools well is of utmost importance, so I recommend you also check out my AD Carry Lane Phase guide by clicking the link on your screen.